Imagine the final moments of Warren Buffett's May 3, 2025 60th annual meeting. First of all, how many people have held 60 annual meetings for their company? Very few. So here we had the Oracle of Omaha, 94 years old, standing before about 40,000 shareholders and guests. And almost no one knew about the shocking news he was about to deliver. All of a sudden, Buffett says, I think the time has arrived where Greg should become the chief executive officer of the company at the year end. And he hands over the reins of an over 1 trillion organization so many admire to a man most people have never heard of. Why did Buffett wait so long to announce his successor? And what makes Greg Abel the best choice? And what if you could build a company with the discipline of Warren Buffett, the vision of Berkshire Hathaway, and the adaptability to survive any market? So far, at least. Whether you are a management consultant, like many of our viewers, or maybe a member of a strategy team or an executive seeking partner-level impact, this story is a good example of how leadership transitions at the very top are made and how they impact strategy, culture, and the future of a major organization. And Buffett and Greg Abel are not perfect, of course. Buffett's company owns a lot of insurance companies, and we all know how insurance companies in the United States treat customers. So they are not perfect role models. They extract from clients what is in economic terms called rent, meaning they extract from clients a lot more than what is fair and what they should have been extracting. For example, you often have to allocate many hours in a week calling them and faxing them just for them to eventually reply to you to try to push one step forward, which is what they are required to do as part of that contract. So it's not right that you have to write to them and call them so many times. They have to deliver on their contract. They have to deliver on what was agreed. So I had to say it as a side note for us not to think that Buffett or Greg or anyone is a perfect role model. But even if someone is not a perfect role model, we can learn a lot from them. So back to our story. From what I can observe, Buffett's choice was made very carefully and over a multi-year period. He did give some hints in shareholder letters and interviews about who would be taking over, but many people were very surprised that it ultimately was Greg Abel. And Greg Abel is a very interesting character. Not the investor's celebrity, so to say. He is someone with operator's discipline. This entire situation reminds me of Steve Jobs selecting Tim Cook. Once the announcement was made, questions of course poured in. Could Greg Abel fill Buffett's huge shoes? What does it all mean for Berkshire Hathaway's future? And how will shareholders be impacted? So who is Greg Abel? Greg was born in 1962, far from Wall Street. He grew up in Edmonton, Alberta, in Canada. As many of you know, I am Canadian and American, so it's very good to have someone from your homeland, one of your homelands, succeed. His teenage years had similarities to Buffett's. They both were business-minded very early in their lives. In Greg's situation, he was delivering flyers, collecting bottles, and even worked as a forestry laborer. And he played ice hockey, which is very ordinary for a man growing up in Canada. Everyone plays hockey, especially in Alberta. People say he learned you are more successful if you play as a team than as an individual from ice hockey, which makes a lot of sense. He got a scholarship and earned an accounting degree from the University of Alberta. And that was in 1984. I was 3 years old at the time, and you probably were even younger than me. So we can still do a lot more until the time we get to Greg's age right now. And so don't feel like you are falling behind. You can still do a lot more with your career and the level of impact you can have. Anyway, Greg started as a chartered accountant at PwC in Edmonton. I actually also worked for PwC in Canada, which was a breath of fresh air after my stint in banking. It was an interesting learning experience to manage a portfolio of over $1 billion in banking, but the toxic culture erodes you from the inside at record speed. After Edmonton, he moved to San Francisco, and he joined a little-known power producer called Coal Energy in 1992. At Coal Energy, Greg Abel's work ethic is what set him apart and made him visible. This is what we always mention. Of the last 15 years of running strategytraining.com and firmsconsulting.com, this is what we spoke about all the time. And what you can see clearly from my career, you can outwork anybody. Don't underestimate how far you can go if you just do the work. Skill up consistently, seek higher levels of responsibility and compensation. Invest in yourself with more diligence than you do in your retirement investments. And this is not financial advice, but what I do is I invest in myself with more diligence than I do in my own retirement investments. And I treat every job as if it is my company. Anyway, back to our story. Greg Abel quickly rose through the ranks, no surprise here. He led transformative deals, including acquiring Mid-American Energy. Mid-American Energy was noticed by Berkshire Hathaway in 2000, and they took control. Greg became an important asset for Berkshire Hathaway, so he basically broke through and joined Buffett's team. He was then promoted to CEO of Mid-American, renamed Berkshire Hathaway Energy in 2008. Greg managed utilities and renewable assets, making acquisitions like NV Energy for $5.6 billion in 2013 and turning Berkshire Hathaway Energy into a renewable energy leader. Under his leadership, the company grew to serve over 11 million customers and made over 10% of Berkshire's total earnings. Greg Abel is known for his detail-oriented approach as a leader versus Buffett's famous hands-off delegation approach. In fact, Greg Abel is described as someone who does more in every hour of every day than any person people met. He's known for asking probing questions, and I'm not surprised though. Given his background in accounting, he has a very good understanding of what business needs to succeed and what will lead to failure of the business. In fact, when I lived in South Africa, I noticed the highest chance to become very senior there, all the way to CEO, is to have an accounting degree as your foundational training. You can look at CEOs in South Africa and you will notice a lot of them are accountants. And you probably know that most conglomerates struggle with succession. Buffett spent years grooming Greg Abel. In the last shareholder letter, Buffett wrote, "Abel has vividly shown his ability to act at such times as did Charlie." This is, of course, drawing parallels to the late Charlie Munger. Greg Abel is now responsible for the over $1 trillion behemoth. Shares include Apple, American Express, BNSF Railroad, Geico, and he has $350 billion in cash. As a result, Greg's decisions on capital allocation, risk, and innovation will shape not just Berkshire Hathaway, but the future of American business as a whole. People say that Greg Abel's leadership is substance over style. Colleagues describe him as intensely hardworking, humble, and very, very sharp. They say he is focused on team wins and avoids spotlight. Buffett himself mentioned, or maybe he joked, that Greg Abel's more hands-on style is working way better for Berkshire's 60-plus subsidiaries. I didn't want to work as hard as he works. Late Charlie Munger called Greg Abel sensational in business, both as a thinker and as a doer. Exceptional at getting things done smoothly through others. Such an important skill. But let's remember, Greg Abel faces a tough challenge. With a lot of power comes a huge responsibility, huge level of responsibility. Will he be bold with the conglomerate's massive cash reserves? Will he make decisions Buffett avoided? And he has to make good decisions while everyone is watching him. Buffett told shareholders, I would leave the capital allocation to Greg, and he understands businesses extremely well. The torch has passed, but who knows how things will unfold. I will wrap this up with 7 lessons from Berkshire Hathaway's Succession that I've taken away from all of this so far. First, start planning early. Buffett didn't wait until the last minute to choose who would lead after him. He started thinking and planning many years ahead, and he passed the torch before he had to. 2, hard work matters more than being famous or many other things, really. Greg Abel wasn't a well-known star. From what we know about him, he worked really, really hard, learned the business, and cared about his team. That's why people have very good things to say about him. And that's why Buffett trusted him. Doing your best every day is what counts most. That is something I have done throughout my career. And it really does pay off, no matter how low you are when you start. For example, when I immigrated for the very first time, and after 8 months of applying for every job I could qualify for, I finally got one. I would be the first to come, the last to leave. I would do everything I possibly could to move things forward for the business, and that was noticed. And I got promoted very fast. And yes, there were a few times when I was not the very last to leave, when my boss wanted to stay and spend time alone in the office. But pretty much I was there before anyone even in the office building, me and the security guard. Then I was there at night, sometimes at 10 p.m., leaving the very last person. I approached my undergraduate studies the very same way. And despite having to translate almost every word in my first economics book and many other books, I graduated summa cum laude with straight A's and was the top 3 student for my economics class nationwide for that university. I followed the same approach when I joined consulting, and as a result got promoted 3 times in 2 years. And as you know, it is not normal within major consulting firms to be promoted that fast. Then I followed the same approach during my MBA and graduated on the dean's list, again with all A's, even though at the beginning it looked like that would not be possible at all, since everyone in class was a top student with very high GMAT scores and most people were native English speakers. After MBA, I followed the same approach again in banking and got promoted to director, managing a portfolio of over $1 billion in just 6 months. And of course, I'm using the very same approach in building strategytraining.com and firmsconsulting.com. And I would never have chance to work with Michael on building strategytraining.com without all the steps I just listed for you. So not only you get rewarded with promotions, new opportunities in terms of managing a big portfolio and so on, but ultimately you get to work with exceptional people with which you otherwise never would get to work. So treating each job like you are an honor, but at the same time, not settling for what you already achieved is a phenomenal approach to basically guarantee a successful career. The third lesson I took from all of this is you want to share and explain your plan. Buffett wrote long letters explaining how the company works. He made sure everyone understood what he wanted and why. When leaders are open and clear like that, people trust them more and they also understand the business more so they can help you more. The fourth lesson is teaching others is important. Buffett didn't just do everything himself. He taught others how to run the company. Greg Abel learned directly from Buffett. And great leaders, they teach and let their team grow. When I see our clients making sure their team is trained, for example, using our resources, which is often the case, versus hoarding it only for themselves, this is when I know this leader will go very far. The fifth lesson is keep things simple. Buffett kept the company simple. Even as the business got much bigger, he made sure the rules stayed simple to follow. Not easy, but simple. Simple plans work best for most teams. Lesson number 6 I took from this is respect what worked, but be ready to change. Greg Abel will probably keep doing the things that made Berkshire great, but he will likely also make changes when needed. You can see he's a smart guy. It's important to balance old habits with new ideas, especially when the world changes so fast. Now, with AI and other technological changes, this is the only way to even stay in business. And the last lesson I took away is teamwork is stronger than going it alone. Buffett and Greg Abel believe in working with others. Just think about the Charlie and Warren duo. Their teams make better decisions together. They just have this culture of working as a team. And leading with teamwork helps companies do well, even when things get really tough. StrategyTraining.com and firmsconsulting.com would never be able to do what we are able to do without our amazing team. Everyone can learn from how Warren Buffett and Greg Abel handled this change. Plan ahead, work hard, be honest and clear, help others learn, keep things simple, respect the past, but keep learning and be ready to adapt, and always act as a team. That's what helps leaders and their companies succeed for a long, long time. For every consultant, strategy head, and executive, Greg Abel's next moves will offer living case studies in succession and adaptability. How will a hands-on operator shape capital allocation, innovation, and leadership at one of the world's great empires? We have already seen it play out with Tim Cook, and now we will have a front row seat to see how it will play out with Warren Buffett and Greg Abel. As you follow how things will unfold, think, how can you use these lessons about preparation and bold, structured leadership to get bigger mandates, strengthen your skills, build stronger teams, and lead transformation with AI and technology as leverage? What we spoke about in this video is a reminder of the kind of preparation, rigor, and clarity we all need if we want to move from solving mid-level problems to shaping the direction of entire departments or even organizations. And that's why we built Insider, Legacy, and Strategy Control Room Advanced memberships. Each membership is designed to give you the discipline, the ability to develop frameworks, and judgment to lead at the very top of your profession. Insider gives you the structured thinking and advanced tools to consistently win bigger mandates. Legacy builds on that with direct access to our thinking on some of more advanced topics and the chance to stress test your decisions with us via 2 times a month opportunity to submit questions and get guaranteed input from us. Strategy Control Room Advanced lets you see how partners actually shape and run entire firms with case files, board-level analysis, full study decks, centers of excellence, private books, and war rooms you simply cannot access anywhere else. If you have been learning from these videos, imagine how much more you will achieve with the full training behind these videos. Thank you for watching. If you are ready to build the consulting and executive skills that really make a difference in today's AI-driven world, the best place to start is with our free newsletter. It's called Strategy Insights. You can join today at firmsconsulting.com/gift. And when you join the newsletter, you will also get a gift based on the link you use. So the first link you can use is a book we co-authored with some of our clients. It's called 9 Leaders in Action, and you can get it at firmsconsulting.com/gift. Second, you can get the McKinsey and BCG winning resume, a real resume that secured offers from both firms. You can get it at firmsconsulting.com/resume PDF. And third, you can get the overall approach used in well-managed strategy studies at firmsconsulting.com/overall approach. Each of these resources is designed to help you accelerate your career. So head over to one of those links, for example, firmsconsulting.com/gift, and join the Strategy Insights newsletter. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to see you all in the next video.